Bhagavad Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtike Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Bhaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So today we are continuing with our reading of Srimad Bhagavatam. We are reading Canto 3, Chapter 2, Text 13, the conversation between Uddhav and Vidura. Yadharma Shunorbata Rajasuye Nirikshadrikshvastayanam Trilokaha Kartsneya Chadye Hagatam Vidatur Arvakshito Koshalam Itti Manyata. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. All the demigods from the upper, lower, and middle universal planetary systems assembled at the altar of the Rajasuya sacrifice performed by Maharaj Yudhishthira. After seeing the beautiful bodily features of Lord Krishna, they all contemplated that he was the ultimate, dexterous creation of Brahma, the creator of human beings. There was nothing comparable to the bodily features of Lord Krishna when he was present in this world. The most beautiful object in the material world may be compared to the blue lotus flower or the full moon in the sky. But even the lotus flower and the moon were defeated by the beauty of the bodily features of Lord Krishna. And this was certified by the demigods, the most beautiful living creatures in the universe. So Rajasuya sacrificed Yudhishthira Maharaj when he was ruling over a certain portion of the kingdom. He had done this Rajasuya sacrifice where personalities from all over the universe came. The demigods came, the various great rishis, the sages, and then, of course, from the earth, the great kings, everyone came. And in that sacrifice, it was unanimously decided that Sri Krishna is the most beautiful. So Prabhupada is saying in this material world, what we have many beautiful things, but the most beautiful thing in this material world is probably the full moon or the blue lotus flower. But even these most beautiful things on this earth, they were not able to compare with Lord Krishna's beauty. And this is being said by the demigods, who themselves are very, very beautiful. They're very beautiful. It seems they say that the most beautiful woman on this earth is like a frog if we compare to the beauty of the women in the heavenly planets. You know, we have so many beautiful women here on earth, and then they're compared to, like, they appear to be like frogs to the women in the heavenly planets. And so how beautiful is Krishna, that even the demigods are saying Krishna is more beautiful than us. The demigods thought that Lord Krishna, like themselves, was also created by Lord Brahma. But in fact, Brahma was created by Lord Krishna. It was not within the power of Brahma to create the transcendental beauty of the Supreme Lord. No one is the creator of Krishna. Rather, he's the creator of everyone. So then, not necessary if we go up to the heavenly planets and have become very beautiful and higher beings, we'll have the correct knowledge. Here, some of the demigods are thinking that Lord Brahma has made Krishna, but that's not a fact. We just were hearing Brahma himself said that Krishna has made him. You know, so even if we go to the heavenly planets, doesn't mean we'll understand the truth. So no one is the creator of Krishna. Rather, he is the creator of everyone. As he says in the Bhagavad Gita 10.8, Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate. That from him everything is coming. He says that everything is emanating from him. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So text 14. Yasya nuraga pluta hasarasa lila valoka pratilabdhamanaha rajastriyo drigtabir anupravrata diyo avastastu kila kritya sheshaha. The damsels of Raj, after pastimes of laughter, humor, and exchanges of glances, were anguished when Krishna left them. They used to follow him with their eyes, and thus they sat down with stunned intelligence and could not finish their household duties. In his boyhood at Vrindavan, Lord Krishna was notorious as a teasing friend in transcendental love to all the girls his age. His love for them was so intense that there is no comparison to that ecstasy. And the damsels of Raj were so much attached to him that their affection excelled that of the great demigods like Brahma and Shiva. Lord Krishna finally admitted his defeat before the transcendental affection of the gopis and declared that he was unable to repay them for their unalloyed affection. So Krishna loves the gopis a lot. There is no comparison. He has intense love. Now the attachment of the gopis for Krishna is even more. And so that's why Krishna is saying, I can't repay the love that you have. So please just be satisfied by the love, because you're glorious that you have so much love. Although the gopis were seemingly anguished by the Lord's teasing behavior, when Krishna would leave them, they could not tolerate the separation and used to follow him with their eyes and minds. So Krishna would have all these playful pastimes with the gopis, and then outwardly they would seem to become irritated. Oh, leave me alone. You know, you're always just troubling me. And when he would, but they didn't mean it. They liked the teasing. And then when Krishna would actually leave them, then they would feel, oh, where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? They were so stunned by the situation that they could not finish their household duties. No one could excel him, even in the dealing of love exchanged between boys and girls. It is said in the revealed scriptures that Lord Krishna personally never goes beyond the boundary of Vrindavan. He remains there eternally because of the transcendental love of the inhabitants. Thus, Even though he is not visible at present, he is not away from Vrindavan for a moment. Krishna never ever leaves Vrindavan. Shyam Sundar Krishna always remains in Vrindavan. Why? Because the Brajbasis love him so much. But then you might say, oh, but he left Vrindavan, he left to go to Mathura. Then where was he? The personality who left Vrindavan to go to Mathura, that is Vasudev Krishna. That is Lord Krishna of Dwarka. And Shyam Sundar Krishna, what did he do? Why was he not visible? He hid himself in the hearts of the gopis. So Krishna is always in Vrindavan. We might not be able to see him because we are not purified, but he's always there. The pastimes are eternally going on in Vrindavan. Okay. Reading the next verse, text 15. Swashanta rupeshva itare swaruper abhyardamaneshva anukampitatma pravavaresho mahad amsha yukto hiyajo api jato bhagavan yathagnihi. The personality of Godhead, the all-compassionate controller of both the spiritual and material creations, is unborn. But when there is friction between his peaceful devotees and persons who are in the material modes of nature, he takes birth, just like fire, accompanied by the Mahat Tattva. The devotees of the Lord are by nature peaceful because they have no material hankering. A liberated soul has no hankering, and therefore he has no lamentation. One who wants to possess also laments when he loses his possession. Devotees have no hankerings for material possessions and no hankerings for spiritual salvation. So a devotee, they are not attached to this material world. They don't want anything from this material world. The only reason they are here is to preach, is for our benefit. Informing us about Krishna, hearing and chanting the glories of Krishna. They don't want to enjoy this material world. They do not have the desire like we have the desire. Oh, let me go here, I'll be happy. Let me eat this, I'll be happy. Let me hear this, I'll be happy. No, their only happiness is how can I please Krishna? And so because he has nothing to give, he doesn't want anything from this world, and so he's not sad also. Because when we want to get something and when we don't get it, then we become sad. So that's why a devotee is always peaceful. He does not need anything from this material world. They are situated in the transcendental loving service of the Lord as a matter of duty, and they do not mind where they are or how they have to act. The devotee just wants to please Krishna, engage in devotional service. Karmis, Jnanis, and Yogis all hanker to possess some material or spiritual assets. Karmis want material possessions. Jnanis and Yogis want spiritual possessions. But devotees do not want any material or spiritual assets. They want only to serve the Lord anywhere in the material or spiritual worlds that the Lord desires. And the Lord is always specifically compassionate towards such devotees. So karmis means the majority of the world. You know, we want to work so that we can enjoy. We will get some result, and so with that result, we want to enjoy. Or we want to gain something, more money, more beauty, more knowledge, like that. And then the jnanis who want to gain the transcendental knowledge that I'm not the body, that I'm the soul. So they are looking for spiritual possession. And the yogi also, they are wanting to know who is the Paramatma. But what does a devotee want? A devotee does not want anything. He just wants to serve the Lord. That's the only desire of the devotee. How can I serve the Lord? And that's why the Lord is always compassionate to such devotees. Because they don't care about themselves. They just want to see what is pleasing to Krishna. The karmis, jnanis, and yogis have their particular mentalities in the modes of nature, and therefore they are called itara or non-devotees. These itaras, including even the yogis, sometimes harass the devotees of the Lord. So even though we might become a jnani, get so much spiritual knowledge of the body, or what is the body, what is the material elements, what is the spirit, or we can become meditating, have the knowledge, so much knowledge, have so much mind and sense control. But because they are not devotees, they do not have the perfect mind and sense control. Durvasa Muni, a great yogi, harassed Maharaj Ambarish because the latter was a great devotee of the Lord. So we know there was no reason for for Durvasa Muni to become upset at Ambarish Maharaj, and yet he became upset. And how the Lord protected? The Lord protected Ambarish Maharaj. He didn't take the side of Durvasa Muni, although Durvasa Muni is a great yogi and Maharaj Ambarish is just a king. But yet, because he's a pure devotee, there is no fault. There was no fault in Maharaj Ambarish. And the great Karmi and Jnani Hiranyakashipu even harassed his own Vaishnav son, Prahlad Maharaj. So Hiranyakashipu, yeah, he did so many battles because he wanted all the kingdoms for himself. And Jnani, he had a lot of knowledge about the soul and about matter. So much knowledge he had that when Hiranyaksha, his brother, died, Hiranyakashipu was giving this knowledge to his family members, to the wives of Hiranyaksha, who was so much lamenting. He was telling them, don't lament, the soul has to go. Even you are going to leave the body at one time. Don't get so much into lamentation. So he had a lot of knowledge, but what he didn't have was bhakti. He didn't have devotion. And because he didn't have devotion, he was envious of his son, Prahlad Maharaj, who was a pure devotee of the Lord. There are many such instances.
Is it that also Ravan was also the same, right? He was the Karmi and the Jnani.
Yes.
He also had a lot of knowledge. He used to worship Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma a lot, right?
Yes.
So they are all those who don't worship Krishna, but they worship other demigods, then they are Karmis and Jnanis, right?
Yes.
But they are not the devotees.
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, because some people, they say that how can you call Ravan atheist? He used to worship Lord Shiva a lot. So, but then he falls in a different category. He's not a pure devotee. He's not a Vaishnava, but he was a Karmi and a Jnani, like as mentioned here.
Yeah, so atheists can also be in the karmi. Karmi means that I'm working because I want to get the result.
And the Jnani can also be atheist.
The jnani, well, they are trying to have the knowledge of the matter and spirit. They're trying to get that knowledge. So the atheist is that he doesn't believe in God, right?
But then how can he worship Lord Shiva?
Who? But who is saying Ravan was an atheist?
I read somewhere it was written that Ravan is atheist.
Oh, well, actually, Ravan denies the supremacy of the Lord, right?
Okay.
He does. This means what? That there is somebody who's higher than me. That the Lord is the supreme, right?
Okay.
The supremacy of the Lord.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there are many such instances of such harassment of the peaceful devotees of the Lord by the Itaras. When such friction takes place, the Lord, out of his great compassion towards his pure devotees, appears in person, accompanied by his plenary portions controlling the Mahatattva. So Krishna comes, he comes to protect his devotees. He says in the Bhagavad Gita, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chaduskritam, that I come to protect my devotees and to annihilate the demons. And when he comes, when he appears as himself, then he is accompanied by his plenary portions. All the incarnations are coming together with Krishna. Everyone, because Krishna is the original. He's the original source of all the incarnations. So they're all within him. The Lord is everywhere in both the material and spiritual domains. And he appears for the sake of his devotees when there is friction between his devotee and the non-devotee. As electricity is generated by friction of matter anywhere and everywhere, the Lord, being all-pervading, appears because of the friction of devotees and non-devotees. When Lord Krishna appears on a mission, all his plenary portions accompany him. When he appeared as the son of Vasudev, when the son of Vasudev, there were differences of opinion about his incarnation. Some said he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Some said he is an incarnation of Narayana. And others said he is the incarnation of Kshirodakashayi Vishnu. But actually, he is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. And Narayana, the Purushas, and all other incarnations accompany him to function as different parts of his pastimes. So when Krishna came, not many people were able to understand what's his true identity. Some thought he's just an incarnation of Lord Narayan. Some knew that he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but many were thinking he's an incarnation of Lord Vishnu. But Krishna is the original Lord. He is the source of Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu is an incarnation of Krishna, not the other way around. Bhagavatam clearly says, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, that there are so many incarnations and so many portions of the plenary portions, but Krishna is the supreme person. All incarnations are coming from Krishna. Mahad Amsha Yukta indicates that he is accompanied by the Purushas who create the Mahad Tattva. It is confirmed in the Vedic hymns, Mahantam Vibhum Atmanam. So when Krishna is coming, the Purusha avatars are also coming. Kshirodakshayi Vishnu, Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, Mahavishnu, they're all within him because he's the original source. So they are in him. Lord Krishna appeared just like electricity when there was friction between Kamsa and Vasudev and Ugrasen. Vasudev and Ugrasen were the Lord's devotees, and Kamsa, a representative of the Karmis and Gyanis, was a non-devotee. Krishna, as he is compared to the sun. He first appeared from the ocean of the womb of Devaki, and gradually he satisfied the inhabitants of the places surrounding Mathura, just as the sun enlivens the lotus flower in the morning. After gradually rising to the meridian of Dwarka, the Lord set like the sun, placing everything in darkness as described by Uddhav. So here the appearance and disappearance of Krishna, Prabhupada is saying it so nicely that, of course, Kans, he's a great non-devotee, and he was troubling Vasudev and Ugrasen, who are devotees of the Lord. So Krishna came to protect his devotees. So he rose just like the sun rises, and he gave pleasure to everyone by his appearance. He pleased the inhabitants of the Braj Mandal. And then when his purpose was finished, then he left this world. But it doesn't mean he does not exist. He still exists. His pastimes are going on eternally in some universe or the other. Is that okay? So, were there any comments or questions?
No, all clear.
All clear? So, okay, let's read this then. Mam kedayati etad ajasya janma vidambanam yad vasudeva gehe raje chavasori bhayad iva swayam purad sid yad ananta viryaha. When I think of Lord Krishna, how he was born in the prison house of Vasudeva, although he's unborn, how he went away from his father's protection to Vraj and lived there incognito out of fear of the enemy, and how, although unlimitedly powerful, he fled from Mathura in fear. All these bewildering incidents give me distress. So here Uddhav is saying the contradictions. Krishna is born in the prison house of Vasudeva, but Krishna is never born. He's unborn. He always eternally exists. So how can the unborn be born? And then he is the Supreme Lord. And yet, out of fear, he left Mathura. You know, although he's the most strongest, most powerful. So Uddhav is saying, of course, these are bewildering things and they're giving him distress. Because Lord Sri Krishna is the original person from whom everything and everyone has emanated, Aham Sarvasya Prabhava 10.8, Janmadi Asya Yataha Vedanta Sutra 1.1.2, nothing can be equal to or greater than him. So if we want to see who's somebody who's greater than me, I am great, I might say, okay, I'm great. But if I go and check, I will find somebody who's greater than me. And if I do further research, I'll find somebody who's greater than that person, and greater than that person, and greater than that person. And the greatest person in this universe, I will come up to that person, and yet there'll be Lord Krishna who's greater than him. Lord Brahma says that I am created by Lord Krishna. So we'll come up to Lord Brahma and then, oh, Krishna is my creator. So there's no one more greater than Krishna. And there is no one equal to Krishna. No one can be equal to him. The Lord is supremely perfect. And whenever he enacts his transcendental pastimes, as a son, a rival, or an object of enmity, he plays the part so perfectly that even pure devotees like Uddhav are bewildered. So Krishna is playing his pastimes, but he's so good in his pastimes. It's not that, you know, that he's saying, okay, I'm God, so I just appear like that. And why shall I be afraid of cunts? I'm like a baby and I'll kill cunts. No, but because of the sake of pleasing pastimes, he enacts these pastimes for the pleasure of the devotees and to bewilder the non-devotees. For example, Uddhav knew perfectly well that Lord Sri Krishna is eternally existent and he can neither die nor disappear for good. Yet he lamented for Lord Krishna. All these events are perfect arrangements to give perfection to his supreme glories. Like Kunti Maharani in her prayers to Krishna, she says that you are fear personified. Fear personified is afraid of you. You know, because you are the Supreme Lord, fear personified is afraid of you, and yet you are crying and crying, being fearful of Mother Yashoda. How is that, you know? She said, this is inconceivable. But Krishna is like that. Krishna is like that. That he actually, at that moment when Mother Yashoda is coming to bind him, is he afraid or is he not afraid? He's God, right? So is he afraid? But he's appearing to be so afraid. Yes, for Yoga Maya does that. You know, for the sake of loving pastimes, he does do that. He actually becomes afraid, even though he's not afraid. Because of the love of his devotees, because of their love. So it is for enjoyment's sake when a father plays with his little son and the father lies down on the floor as if defeated by the son. It is just to give the little son pleasure and nothing more. Because the Lord is all powerful, it is possible for him to adjust opposites such as birth and no birth, power and defeat, fear and fearlessness. So Prabhupada is giving the example that when the father and the son are having a mock fight, then the father will pretend that, oh, he's fallen down, that he's injured, and then that the son is more powerful. So similarly, Lord Krishna does that. A pure devotee knows very well how it is possible for the Lord to adjust opposite things. But he laments for the non-devotees who, not knowing the supreme glories of the Lord, think of him as imaginary, simply because there are so many apparently contradictory statements in the scriptures. Factually, there is nothing contradictory. Everything is possible when we understand the Lord as the Lord and not as one of us with all our imperfection. So many people might say, oh, this is a confusing statement. How come this happened? How come that happened? Is why? Because we are trying to fix Krishna into our tiny brain, into our mold of how God should be, but we are limited. But if we just accept that God is unlimited, Krishna is unlimited, then everything becomes clear. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, so we can stop here for today. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Hari Hari Bol.